Hi, I'm Al Caudullo, the 3D guy, and I'm here talking about something kind of 2D, but it's The Comeback. This is a book by Gary Shapiro, the president and CEO of the Consumer Electronics Association, and Gary's subtitle here is How Innovation Will Restore the American Dream. So I think it's pretty well accepted that the American dream is kind of broken right now. How do we fix it?
Well, that's a great point. The American dream has been that if you grow up here and do your best and work hard, you have a chance of making it big, and your kids will live a better life than you. And that has been true with every generation of Americans. What's changed is with our generation, we've stolen from our kids. And our country's economy is faltering. The future isn't very bright because of the huge spending. And we have to make some fundamental choices now as we go forward. Now, a government's choices are three. You can raise taxes, which is harmful and painful. You can cut spending, which is harmful and painful. Or you can grow the economy. Now, the way you grow the economy is only one way. It's innovation. Now, we're at the Consumer Electronics Show talking about this. Innovation is all around us. There's so much reason for optimism here. All the great American companies are here. We own the internet in many different ways, but the fact is that going forward, we're not as certain of this type of future because what has made us great, we're going away from. We used to get the brightest people to the United States. Our grandparents came here for a better life. Anyone who was really smart and wanted to make it big came to the United States. That ended on September 11th. Now we shut the doors. When someone gets a PhD degree here in science or math or information technology, most of those people are from abroad. Then we kick them out instead of saying, please stay. We used to encourage people to come here and invest money and create jobs. We don't. We used to have our own corporations say, look, hire people that are Americans. Now we push them overseas through our tax policies and through the fact that they can't hire the people they want and through the fact that we're a litigation society. It's tough to be a business in the United States now. So if you add all these things up, we're in a heap of trouble. And what happens is the book starts out with me being in China and sitting next to this top communist official who goes like this to me. He says, China, going up. And I agreed. Then he went, U.S. going down.
Ouch.
My blood still boils when I think about it, and it's just, I could feel my heart beating, and it still gets me angry. But the fact is, I tried to transform that anger into realization that I'm angry because he's right. And he's right, is any businessman who looks at our balance sheet knows we're in trouble and looks at our spending and says, this is unsustainable. So we have to make some very difficult choices. We have to have policies which favor innovation. And the last thing I'm looking for is any money from government. We don't ask for money from government for anything. And so what we're saying is, government, you make your tough decisions that we pay you to make. We pay politicians to choose among competing priorities, and they're not doing that. And instead, they're kicking the can down the road and saying, our kids are going to pay for it. So for every increase in Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, 2 unwinnable wars, a stimulus package, the save the troubled companies, the cash for clunkers, the first-time home buyer mortgage, all those things are all to make us feel good today. 2 years of unemployment. You don't have to work. You don't have to do anything. Right. We're making sure people feel good today, and they're not sacrificing for the kids who are coming along. Instead, we're stealing from the kids so we can feel good today, and that's wrong. It's immoral. And this book, The Comeback, is designed to focus on those issues and say, here's how we can get out of it.
So, I mean, what's one of the ways that you see to stop what I call government by compromise? Because I think that's what we're seeing right now. What do you feel is the way to go ahead and stop that? Because everybody's so worried about getting elected and so worried about the money that's coming into their pockets that they're working with constant compromise.
Well, you're right in that. The last 2 years, I wouldn't say were the government of compromise. They were the government of one party, one extreme. And then the last few weeks since the election or whatever, in the last few months, we've seen compromising, but it's compromising to hurt the next generation. And you're right. The Republicans have signed this no tax pledge, which basically stops them, and they can't raise revenue, and they certainly aren't cutting any real programs. There's no Republicans cutting programs. And the Democrats certainly are not cutting programs, and they're expanding government. So you have two parties which have inconsistent philosophies, and the only thing they can agree upon is to steal from the future. And that's what they're agreeing on, and that's the compromise you're talking about, and that's the compromise which I think is immoral. And I don't care whether it's Democrats or Republicans. We should get politicians who are focusing on our children and what they're going to inherit. Because, you know, the Indians were ones that had a focus on saying, we're always thinking 7 or 8 generations out what we're going to do. We owe those people. We owe them with our lands. We're not even looking one generation out anymore. And when it comes to 2020, 2025, we're going to be spending most of our tax money just paying off interest on our debt. There'll be no money for education or for military or for health care or for anything. We're in a heap of trouble.
Well, not only that, but we're into a situation right now where the baby boomers are reaching Medicare age and Medicaid age. That's only going to create more work. How does your blueprint for our comeback deal with that kind of issue?
Well, you're absolutely right. The comeback talks about different ways, different things we should focus on. Social Security is a great example. It was created for a person retired 65 and the average person died within a year or two. Now we live another 20 years and Social Security is just the way it was. That's unsustainable. Plus, now we've heaped on health care. The way the comeback deals with it is, first of all, focuses on innovation. Innovation is a solution. If you grow the economy, if you produce wealth, then everyone will benefit. And that's been the U.S. strategy for the last 100 years. That is what's made us successful. We've gone away from that strategy. We've gone from a strategy of innovation and attracting the best and the brightest and free trade and good science and math schools and things like that to focusing instead on how can we just live on our entitlements and steal from the next generation? And we're at the heap of our empire and we're about to decline, just as every other empire in history has. So the recipe here is innovation. Innovation comes from education. It comes from free trade, attracting the best and the brightest, smart government policy, and making some tough decisions. We can't be doing all the things we have to do. We have to cut. Look, we've embraced this deficit commission findings, and they're very modest. But we have to go much further. We have to really start saying, you know what? This is the NFL America. We got to play tough. We got to sacrifice, and we got to do what every generation did before us and leave the world better for our kids.
So this is the first step.
It's a first step. It's a dialogue. It's an effort to focus America and focus our policymakers on the fact that we're in trouble and we're failing as a generation. And it's also a request for youth of the country to wake up and start a movement of their own, the way every other movement in history, except perhaps the Tea Party started, is with kids saying, enough already. Listen to us. We have a future also. So that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see policymakers and kids respond.
There you have it. Gary's book is out. When does it come out now, Gary?
It's out middle of January.
Middle of January. Everywhere. Go get it.
The Comeback.
Thank you, Gary.
Appreciate it.